Upgrade? What the hell do you need to upgrade for? The best games of the year all run on a potato. Like, this is hrot. I would actually recommend downgrading so that you can play this game properly. Maybe like a Voodoo 2 or something like that. All of the best games right now are indie games. What do you want to upgrade for a AAA nonsense game? The live service that you're just dying to jump into and buy some microtransaction goodness? Oh, there's a remake out. Took a game back from the days when they used to make good games and they remade it with fancier, shinier graphics. But really the original game had better dialogue and better acting and better, pretty much. I played Resident Evil 4, not the remake is what I'm trying to say. In this video, we're going to talk about just how toxic it is to always be wanting to upgrade and how a lot of the stuff in the industry, including the news and information YouTube space, makes you want to upgrade all the time and gives you really bad gear acquisition syndrome. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to discourage you if you're someone who always feels like you need to upgrade, but you're constantly playing these old indie games because that's the best stuff right now, the old games and the indie games. And then I'm going to recommend 3 games that you can play on a potato. We'll do that toward the end, so let's hop in and have some fun right after the break. Thanks to Whokeys for sponsoring this video. You can get 25% off Windows and Office with coupon code TS25. So they've got Windows 10 Pro, they've got Home, you've got Windows 11, Office 2021, 2019, and 2016. Putting in coupon code TS25, click apply, and then watch these prices come down. Wonderful. Once you're finished, all you have to do is click on your user account up here, go to your user center, click on My Purchase Orders, and then you'll see everything you've purchased right there. Just view keys and codes, and you can just copy and paste your key, hit start, type activate, click on activation settings, paste it in there, click on next, and you will be activated. If you're a home user, you're going to pay 10 times more than an OEM builder or a corporation or something like that. And that's why I like heading to places like Whokeys.com to get the OEM keys so I can pay a price that makes sense. So thanks to them for sponsoring, and now to our regularly scheduled program. You do not need to upgrade, and you're always feeling pressure in this industry to upgrade. It's one of the reasons why I kind of took a step back from hardware, because I started to look at the entire situation and realize that I wasn't always surrounded by technical people and people who were trying to give me information to relate to the audience. There were a few of those, and those were really cool whenever we had a technical marketing person. How you doing out there, all of you technical marketing people? But most of the time, the people in the tech YouTube space were dealing, and also the entire media as a whole, most of us are dealing with marketing people. And so they're trying to feed you as much nonsense as possible. They don't see you as information. They see you as a way to reach people. A lot of times products will come out and they'll have mixed reviews, but the more coverage the better always seems to be the thing. And the reason is really because it gets into your head. You start to see certain products everywhere, and it starts to create a really weird seed of desire. And I've seen it over and over. I would see it in people, and they would start talking about all these upgrades, and then I would see people upgrade over and over and over again. And then I'm like, what are you playing? And they're playing like games that are 10, 15 years old on their brand new stuff. Or they're playing like a Super Nintendo emulator on their brand new 4090. To the point where like, why did you upgrade? And they're like, well, they can't give me a straight answer. They're like, well, I want to play Call of Duty one of these days or something. I don't know. I mean, play Cyberpunk at 4K. That's a legitimate reason to upgrade. But for most of us out there, we don't need to be upgrading every upgrade cycle. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. And then I'm going to talk about 3 different games. I could go into 50 games, but I'm going to mention 3 games that any of you can play on basically a potato computer. It'll be just something we do for fun. One of the reasons is because the awesome team over at Harat, they gave me a key for this. Well, I wanted it. I really wanted to play this. This is basically Slavquake. That's what they could have called it, Slavquake. But it's like got the really heavy brutalist, almost communist sort of aesthetic going on here. It's the brownest game I've ever played in my entire life. It feels a lot like Quake, so if you played those games, you'll feel right at home. But there's something unique and interesting about it that sets it apart. Not just the brown color palette, but it's a ton of fun, and just the amount of interactivity that the developer put into this. Try things from all different angles. Don't just flush the toilet. Turn around and press the use key and see what happens. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but yeah. But if you face it, and you press the use key, it does one thing. If you turn around and press the use key, it does another thing. Use the items in the world. Check out if there's a clock, go touch it. If there's a typewriter, go and write a beautiful poem to Lenin. Why don't you? So anyway, yeah, you can play Harat on anything. Is that how you say it? Hrot? Hrot? I don't speak no languages. All right, we'll save the other recommendations for later on in the video. And right now I just want to talk about the latest thing that's happening. So I was making this video right about now. Today is, you're not going to see this for a week because that's when I'm going to release it, but it's the 25th. But a couple days ago I thought, hey, I should make this because the 4060 Ti is out, or is coming out. And I'm seeing a lot of hype from channels like NVIDIA being like, twice as fast. You know, they always do those stupid charts where they're like, this thing is twice as fast. So if you just look at the marketing, you're going to be in really bad shape. And then if you look at YouTube, you'll be in better shape because you'll have a bit of an education. And then I saw Steve's video and I was like, you know what? I'm going to make the video anyway. This is what I was hoping would happen with this. But my statement here is not just about the 4060 Ti. I'm going to make this video over and over, by the way, just because I think it needs to be out there. My statement is in general, if you primarily consume tech media, you're going to always be seeing the newest thing, the newest thing, the newest thing. And when you're always seeing the newest thing, the newest thing, the newest thing, you want to upgrade. There's like this feeling you get. And I've had that feeling where I'm like, you know, I've got the fastest thing. I don't use it. You know, I use like 30% of its power because of whatever I'm doing. But then the newest thing comes out and it's 5 to 6% faster. And I'm like, oh no. And I see it. And then Steve makes a video. Then somebody else makes a video. And then somebody else makes a video, and then I see all this stuff, and then everyone's talking about it. And then if you go to social media, it's constant post after constant post. And then like the rich kids are like, you know, bragging about like their new 144 hertz monitor and how like, my frame rates are too fast for the 144 hertz monitor. And then you're like, oh yeah, it looks pretty good. And then you see ray tracing post, and the next thing you know, you're taking out a loan so that you can buy a 40 whatever or a crazy 3090 or whatever generation. You're taking out a loan to buy that, and a 7900 or 7950 CPU. And you're like, what are you doing with your life? Are you going to use all that? Do you need it professionally? I don't know. So if you've got plenty of money, I'm not going to tell you to not spend it, whatever, you know. But I'm just trying to be a voice of reason in the sea of marketing nonsense to tell you that you don't actually have to upgrade every cycle. And that feeling that you've got is totally natural, because you're seeing something all the time, so it's entering into your mind. But if, you know, a lot of times if you know where that feeling comes from, that feeling comes from being bombarded constantly by the news of a certain item existing, the news of it being out there, and then you start to think less of what you have. Like I've got a 3060 Ti in the system that I'm using right now to record this video, and I'm running at a 1440p monitor, and never once have I ever thought, damn, this is slow, I need to upgrade. But this 4060 Ti came out. You know, I started seeing the NVIDIA stuff before I saw this video. I gotta do this face. Wait, my hair. He's got fluffier hair than I do because he lives in the humid North Carolina region of the world. Anyway, you start seeing stuff like, you know, this from NVIDIA and all the different posts, and you're like, the first thing I thought of is like, 4060 Ti. That's nice and small. It's pretty good. It's a bigger number than the 3060 Ti. It's, you know, 3 is now a 4. Maybe I should grab one for this machine. And then like I thought that for literally like a day before any of the reviews came out. I was like, maybe I should get one of these. And then like I snapped out of it the next morning. Like, what am I thinking? I never use it for its full potential. I don't even know why I would be doing. Why would I upgrade this thing? I don't need that much power. There's no reason for it. And I could put that money to something else. Like right now I'm paying for artwork for a game I'm working on. If you didn't know, I'm working on a game. This is now my side thing. The videos are now my side thing. Sorry, everybody. But maybe you'll like the game when it comes out. Anyway, it's okay to not buy everything when it comes out. There may be a good formula to figure out when it's time to upgrade. But generally when the games that I want to play, the majority of the time start running slower than 60 FPS on whatever resolution I like, then maybe it's about time to upgrade. And when I say the majority, I mean like if I'm spending most of my time playing Cyberpunk, and you know, I played it with the ray tracing off because I like the way it looks like that. It looks a little grittier for some reason. I mean, ray tracing on's a little shiny, but if you like it that way and you want to play it, at 4K, first off, I'll say how far away is your monitor. If it's really close then you don't need to be playing at 4K. You can play just fine at 1080 or 1440. But, if you want to play whatever game you want to play, and you're playing it most of the time, and it's not running well enough, it's like dipping into the 30s and stuff, then maybe it's time for an upgrade. So maybe if you've got like a 1080 or whatever, it might be a good time to upgrade to one of these newer cards, but I would still look for a 3060 Ti used. That's what I would do right now because they're ridiculously fast if you're playing at 1440p or 1080p. If you're playing higher than that, well, special use case. If you've got like a lot of room and a big 4K monitor, if you've got a small 4K monitor, what are you doing with your life? That's silly. I don't see why anybody would have a 4K monitor that's like 24 inches. That's just a waste of pixels. Or a waste of rendering. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to make this, share it around. Just, it's okay to not upgrade every time. And I feel like we need like a support group of people who are just like together being like, we don't have to look at every single thing that comes out and think we need to upgrade every time. And we don't need to be on top of every new part. In fact, I'll encourage you to step away from tech media, step away from this. Well, I don't really do that stuff anymore, but step away from it unless you need an upgrade. That's my new motto. Unless I am ready to upgrade, I'm not going to look at all the new stuff that's out. So I'm going to be a little bit less educated than I used to be when it comes to every new part. So that's the end of what I'm talking about here. Now let's talk about some of these other games. I'll recommend 2 more for you. So I recommended a game that's very much in line with like Doom and Quake, mostly Quake. So we talked about Harat. Now the next thing I want to talk about is a rails shooter, and this one is just like Star Fox 64. So if you like Star Fox 64, which is probably the best Star Fox, it's a rail shooter, but it's a super fun rail shooter. Now Zodiac is in early access, but I went ahead and grabbed it, and I'm so glad I spent the money on it because it's just a ton of fun to be able to sit back and play a game and feel like I'm, a kid again playing Star Fox 64. The music is better than Star Fox 64. I really like the music. It's fun. It's kind of got a pump and beat a lot of the times. There's some ridiculous levels. Look at you there with your prehensile tail. I think you're a monkey girl. I don't know. So you're not a Star Fox. You're Star Monkey Girl. I guess they didn't think that rolled off the tongue as well. And there's not, just the standard levels where you're flying around in your ship. You've got some where you're flying around in a hover bike and through the city streets, which were fun. The later levels get a little, I feel a little unfinished, but it's still an awesome game, and I think it's going to be great when it's finished. And the last game is an extremely fun and polished game called Unsighted. And this is for someone who wants a top-down sort of action combat, maybe light RPG a little bit. And this game, it's got great combat, really, really good graphics, great effects and whatnot. But the thing I like about it is the choices that it forces you to make. And I don't want to spoil much of the plot, but at some point in the game, you're going to have to start making choices about whether your main character is more important than some of the NPCs in the game. And that'll make sense once you start playing it. Some of the stuff that it puts you through is pretty awesome. So I highly recommend that one. And if you have a certain type of game that you really want to play, look for suggestions. Say in the comments hey, I really want a game that's like this, or I really want a game maybe you missed something. There's so many indie games, and there are so many old games that all of us have missed together, and that's what I want to focus on. Because that's what we do with our hardware. The hardware itself is not interesting, as Lee Pace said in *Halt and Catch Fire*.
Computers aren't the thing. They're the thing that gets us to the thing.
And that's what I think we all should be focusing on, is the thing that we want to get to and do with our hardware, and let that determine when it's time to upgrade. If you need AV1 in coding or something, maybe that's something you're doing so much that you need an upgrade right now. But if you're playing, games like this, like I am, like a lot of these indie games and a lot of these old games, you're probably still fine with your 10 series cards, or your Radeon 6850 or whatever. Anyway, that's the end of the video. If this is something you think we should be talking about more, let me know. I'm going to make this video again whenever there's another big upgrade hype. I'm going to be here to let you know that there's things that we do with our hardware, and that should be the focus rather than the hardware itself. All right, I'll see you in the comments. If you're curious about the game that I'm currently working on with some other people, you can check it out. I'll put a link to it in the description. It's, let's call it half done-ish. Just a quick little game in the style of the old LucasArts Click Adventures. It's kind of a learning experience for me, but I think it's going to be quite a bit of fun. And that's in the description. And also you can follow over on our other YouTube channel called Easy Mode. I haven't posted there in a little bit, but I'll post some developer updates there. So, oh, one more thing while I'm here. On the store right now, let me just move this out of the way, that my voice is going to go away. So on Epic Pants right now, those shirts are 75% off. I'm clearing out. There's a small stack of them left, and I also have a stack of Zweihander shirts with a pretty cool design on it. So if you go to the store, epicpants.com, and click on sale, you'll see those on clearance. Grab them up so I can clear up these shelves for some.